Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Basketball Conference, the ACC Football Podcast. My name's Joey Weaver. He's Mike McDaniel. Mike, week 7 in the books. We have an official new Real Tech. How you doing? Ready to talk about some games?
I'm gonna bring up a comment from Will Secor. We had
ye
some
of little
comments.
faith, Will.
We had some comments in the chat, which unsurprisingly was about us being late. And you guys know us well enough by now that we're rarely on time. And the one individual who keeps us on time is not at home. He is away for the weekend and not on this podcast. So shout out producer Scott.
I suspect that he is currently sleeping off a weekend at the lake that probably warrants a little bit of sleep here in his own bed tonight, if I had to guess.
I believe he may still even be at the lake. Let me...
Well, while you work on doxing producer Scott,
Yep.
It is 11 o'clock Eastern. We are at youtube.com/@the-ACC Football Podcast. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon if you have not already. We'd appreciate that. We are here ready to recap a week 7 slate in the ACC that honestly, for the most part, Mike, was truthfully like not that eventful, if I'm being honest. But
yeah,
I think there's definitely some takeaways from pretty much all of these games that we can hit on here as we go.
Yeah, I mean, famous last words. This could be one of our quicker recaps of the season, but we'll see.
That's right. We'll keep it to a tight hour and 12 this time instead of an hour and 27.
48.
We had 6 games here to recap, Mike. It was a fun weekend, and as mentioned, we do have a new official Real Tech belt holder. Can we go ahead and do a Rhoback rapid recap?
Oh, we can.
We can. As a reminder, use promo code GOACC20 at checkout for 20% off your first order at Rhoback.com. All sorts of wonderful polos, athleisure wear, hoodies, sweatshirts, pants, shorts. They got the game day collection, which is particularly nice. Highly recommended. Go check them out there. I know I'm going to be breaking out the Q-zips at some point here soon, whenever it's no longer like 91 every day here, because again, I live in a hellhole. But one day soon, those will be coming back out because I love them, because they come from Rhoback.com. Once again, use promo code GOACC20 at checkout for 20% off your first order, Mike.
Go do that, please.
Do it. Everyone on the show loves their Rhoback. You will too. Rhoback rapid recap. Mike, do we want to put 10 minutes on the clock, or just assume that we're going to get through this faster than that?
We will. Let's do it.
Let's do it. In 3, 2, 1. Number 13, Georgia Tech 35, Virginia Tech 20. And the new Real Tech champions, the Yellow Jackets, reclaim that title as an official basketball conference title belt. Georgia Tech starts pretty hot, gets out to a lead, and then kind of stalls for a while. Virginia Tech kind of gets back into the game, and then Georgia Tech puts it away kind of late third quarter into the fourth quarter. This was probably the best we've seen Georgia Tech look so far this season, and yet I kind of felt like it still left something to be desired. Man, that defense gives up a lot of yards and just seems to do a good job of winning red zone roulette.
Yeah, they're waiting to get got.
Mm-hmm.
Some people might say I'm hating. I mean, Virginia, and I'm not. Virginia Tech sucks. I mean, this team is atrocious this year. Defense is really bad. I came away less impressed with Georgia Tech somehow. I don't know. We can talk about that more in a few minutes.
Yeah, we've already kind of talked about it in the last couple of weeks, but yeah, we'll definitely talk about it some more here.
Yeah.
Number 16, Notre Dame 36, NC State 7. This game was actually pretty close at halftime, basically. NC State did a good job of keeping it close. There was a little bit of some decision-making stuff from Notre Dame that helped to keep it close, I would say. But ultimately, Notre Dame boat races them in the second half. And among teams that are 4-3, Mike, I don't think the vibes are all that high in Raleigh right now.
No. Notre Dame went for it on fourth down twice there in the first half. One of the times was very deep in NC State territory. CJ Carr threw an red zone interception. Not great. I Irish turned it over on downs one other time before that to kind of keep NC State in the game. Notre Dame had trouble finishing drives in the first half. They did not have trouble finishing drives in the second half. Defense has looked way better the last 3 times out. NC State, meanwhile, you could tell they were going up against a better defense, especially in the second half.
Yeah, they sure were. Pittsburgh 34, number 25, Florida State 31. Pitt might have found something with Mason Heinschel. Desmond Reed, at least in this game, looked like an ACC Player of the Year candidate. And I think it's time that we reevaluate what Florida State is and is not this year, Mike.
Yep, I think we have enough data points now. I said after the Miami loss, I think Florida State will be fine. I no longer think that. This is a bad defense, guys. We're to the point now we can call Florida State's defense pretty let's just say mediocre at best. Desmond Reed's been really banged up, and he came out and played on Saturday, and Florida State did not cover him the entire day. So
yeah. How many times did I text you during that game? It was like, how slow does Florida State's defense look? And I don't think that's Pitt's offense just being wildly athletic. Maybe some of it was a bit of a hangover coming off the Miami loss, but man, I was unimpressed with the Seminoles defense in that game. Mason Heinschel kind of had all the time to do whatever he wanted. And if I'm being honest, just like a little touch of I'll call him a little bit like a poor man's Johnny Manziel of sorts, like just a ton of escapability. Like, he thrives out of structure. Made some kind of sidearm, like he's doing all sorts of wacky stuff that they don't really teach in quarterback school, but it keeps working in the same way it kind of did for Manziel there all those years ago at A&M.
Yeah, I agree with that. Mike Norvell keeps ending up in my Sports Illustrated column where I basically start every week by evaluating hot seats of head coaches. So that's not a good place. The last couple, the 2 that have led the column, 2 out of the last 3 weeks, Sam Pittman, James Franklin, both fired the following day. So you don't want to be in that column, Mike Norvell, and you certainly don't want to lead it, which you might be leading the column soon. It's not good.
Noles have lost 10 of their last 11 against ACC competition. We will come back to that. SMU 34, Stanford 10. Sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't think this was ever really all that close. I don't have a lot here. This is kind of basically what we expected was SMU comfortably. Stanford, again, I think Stanford better than they were in week 1 or week 0 even, but still not very good.
Yeah, I mean, outclassed here would be the way to put it. SMU was just kind of better in all phases. Stanford got some garbage time yards, made the total yardage output look very similar, but Stanford had 10 penalties for 95 yards. They lost turnover battle 2-0 in a game where you're on the road and a multi-score underdog. You're not really giving yourself much of a chance doing that. Yep,
exactly right. Wake 39, Oregon State 14 in a game that honestly probably wasn't even that close. Was it Tyler Bray, Mike Bray? Who's the Oregon State coach got fired today?
Trent Bray.
Trent Bray, excuse me.
Yeah. Mike Bray used to coach Notre Dame. Good ACC reference there. Yeah.
There you go. Tyler Bray, I think, was a former Tennessee quarterback, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. We got no Robbie Ashford in this game. This was Deshaun Purdy's show, and it was just fine. Threw 4 touchdown passes. Damon Claiborne played 144 yards on 16 carries and a touchdown. He was great. This was a boat racing from Wake Forest. Wake, sneaky, really good, Mike, I think. Like they're going to win like 7 games this year. They're going to a bowl game. They are more than plucky, I would say.
There was going to be one team from the bottom of the ACC in the preseason that was going to step up. I did not think it would be Wake Forest, but lo and behold, here we are. The one name you did not mention, Chris Barnes, he had 3 catches for 102 yards and 3 touchdowns. Every time I looked up at the TV, Chris Barnes was in the end zone again.
Yeah. Really good day for Wake. That's a treacherous road trip, a long way to go against a desperate Oregon State team. Turns out the Beavers might have had a little bit of quit in them with their coach now being fired and such. But in any case, I mean, Deshaun Purdy coming in and throwing for upwards of 250 yards and 3 touchdowns, or however many it was. You take that every time.
Oregon State is just horrible.
Yeah, not the wrong decision to move on from your coach at that point.
No.
Clemson 41, Boston College 10. Again, a game that this actually kind of was close for most of the first half. And then Clemson scores, I believe, 10 points in the final minute of the first half.
Yeah.
Basically, like, really took a lot to make that happen. But ultimately, they have pulled away here, by about halftime. So speaking of teams that might, keep an eye out for Quit Watch here. Those Eagles in Chestnut Hill.
Yeah.
Vibes not high there either.
So Turbo Richards scored with just over 7 minutes to go in the second quarter to cut into the 17-3 lead, made it 17-10. Like you mentioned, Clemson scored 17 points in the final 5.5 minutes there.
Yeah.
Of the first half. So, they took the ball immediately after that touchdown, scored, extended the lead back out to 14, scored again after that, and they kicked a field goal before half. It was a masterclass of time management issues for Boston College, and Clemson took that and parlayed it into multiple scoring drives, put the game away.
Did you see who scored a rushing touchdown here for Clemson?
Peter Woods.
That would be defensive end Peter Woods.
Yeah.
Who, had a rushing touchdown. He got in the game and got a couple of carries in the red zone. So that's fun. That's always good when Clemson is just like putting guys in that have no business playing the positions they're playing, and they're still succeeding on you. That's when Clemson's stunting on you a little bit.
Took a page out of the Alabama Caden Proctor red zone package book, and that seems to be working quite well for Bama. So
somehow.
That's
all I got on the Rhoback Rapid Recap, Mike. Once again, use promo code GOACC20 for 20% off your first order at Rhoback.com. Appreciate the folks who are doing that. Are we good to start recapping some of these games?
Let's do it.
Where do we start?
Techmo Bowl.
Start with the Techmo Bowl.
Yeah.
Once again, number 13, Georgia Tech 35, Virginia Tech 20. Lots of thoughts here, Mike. I already got some out on the Rhoback Rapid Recap. You want to start here?
Yeah, I mean, not a ton. It was a really good start for Georgia Tech, right? Scoring quickly, and Kyron Jones got knocked out early. Pop Watson came in briefly, and Jones came back in.
Yeah, a little Pop Watson cameo in this game.
Yeah, for sure. For a couple plays. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what we've been getting out of Virginia Tech the last couple weeks. This is probably the least competent they've looked in the 4 games. I mean, they had some issues against Wake Forest, obviously, that were really frustrating, but I think in terms of just like starting the game really poorly, I thought this was the worst they've looked since firing Brent Pry. Like in the first quarter, they just didn't look all that enthused to be there. Like Georgia Tech came out, I thought started hot and played well early, kind of put Virginia Tech in a hole. This offense is not built to really come back on you. They did their best in the second half, and I thought played much better from the second quarter on in this game, but there was just still some just dumb play. I'm a little taken aback by the defensive effort again. Like the defense for Virginia Tech, especially linebacker play, was really, really poor in this game. Obviously Malachi Hosley, Jamal Haynes ran the ball well, but it was just a very frustrating effort defensively for Virginia Tech here. That Haynes King touchdown run, what was that, third or fourth quarter? He basically went in untouched there on a read play that there should have been multiple hats on him, and nobody went with him, and he was just running through the middle of the field. It was just like, what are we doing? Like, obviously we know he's carried the ball like 10 or 12 times at this point. Obviously you look on the film and they love to run Haynes King. Like, what are we doing, guys? And he's running up the middle of the field untouched. It was just like, this is a microcosm of the season. It's just very frustrating.
I did see on that one, by the way, if you follow Coach Dan Casey on Twitter, who does a bunch of like X's and O's stuff, and he's been in love with Buster Faulkner going back to the start of the offseason, basically.
Yep.
Apparently that play, there was some pretty diabolical blocking schemes that were like basically had the tight end start to pull across the formation and then like stop and went back to actually be the lead blocker, stuff like that. So I'll give Virginia Tech's linebackers a little bit of grace on that one, but yeah, definitely like there's a whole convoy there in front of Haynes King and not a lot of hokey defenders for them to block, which not ideal.
Yeah, no, not great. The better team obviously won. I guess my high level, I was looking at this more from Georgia Tech's standpoint in this game because we talked about in the preview. I thought Virginia Tech could hang around and never really threaten to win. That was kind of my feeling on it, that they would cover, and they almost did, even after digging themselves kind of that hole early. I was looking at this more from Georgia Tech's view. Obviously, the Jackets entered this game 13th. I haven't seen the updated AP poll, Joey. Is Georgia Tech? Okay, they moved up one spot. Okay, they're 12th now. There are several teams behind Georgia Tech in the AP poll that I would take on a neutral field. Like, I think Georgia Tech's a top 20 team. I don't think they're a top 10 or 12 team. And the reason why I say that is because I do not think this defense is very good. I think they're fine. We talked about it in the preview. I think they're fine. I think they're pretty poor against the run. I think they leave a little bit to be desired against the pass at times. I think they're far too inconsistent on that side of the ball. I also think situationally, offensively, sometimes they get really bogged down. Joey, you mentioned this on social media multiple times throughout the game. Sometimes it's just like they go back to the same 2 or 3 plays in short yardage situations in particular. And you can get away with it against opponents like this that are not very good. But I feel like if you start playing these better teams down the stretch of the season, which I know Georgia Tech's schedule is what it is, but you start playing better teams down the stretch of the year, and I don't think that's going to work. And I think we should probably give Buster Faulkner the benefit of the doubt, right? Because against better competition, he usually has some stuff in his back pocket, and he's coached some of his best games against better competition. And maybe they're just trying to keep it a little bland. But man, there are some play calls there in short yardage yesterday where I was just kind of scratching my head. I was like, I don't know why they went back to that again, because even if Virginia Tech defense is bad, like they're going to eventually stop it, right? And they did a few different times. So that's the one takeaway. But my bigger issue is Georgia Tech's defense. I didn't think it played very well yesterday. I think it's probably going to catch up with them here at some point pretty soon.
Very soon.
And I think Georgia Tech is a good team. I don't think they are like one of the 10 best teams in the country. Good. So that's kind of where I'm at here. I may catch some flack. I know we got a lot of Georgia Tech fans in the chat tonight. I may catch some flack for that. I think this team is certainly a top 20 team. It's not bad. It's just I came away from this game yesterday and I was like, yeah, I think I'm kind of out on Georgia Tech's defense too. Not that they're horrible, just that they're okay. And the teams that are going to be able to run the ball better are probably going to have more success against them and kind of put them into some trouble, put them in some boxes. I think the time of possession, I think moving forward, watching teams possess the ball against this Georgia Tech offense is going to be very interesting moving forward, because I think if a team is able to run the ball on Georgia Tech and play from ahead, I'm interested to see how that impacts Georgia Tech's play calling offensively. And if it forces Haynes King, who was very good yesterday, like throwing the ball in particular, puts Haynes King in obvious throwing situations, how does that Georgia Tech passing offense look? That's what I'm really interested down the backstretch of the season here.
Yep. I completely agree with everything you're saying here. I would say that I think that they are a top 20 team from a resume standpoint. They're 6-0. They've beaten 4 power conference teams like Clemson. That win is starting to age a lot better than it did for a week afterwards. Colorado got a good win this weekend. So that helps the resume, all that. But just quality of play wise, this feels like a team that's more in that same 30 to 35-ish range that they've been in recent years.
Yeah.
And obviously that's way better than where Jeff Collins had them 4 years ago or whatever. It's an improvement, but you see a team that's starting to get listed and has been listed even since the offseason in like playoff projections and all that. And it's like, good Lord, if this team finds a way to make the playoffs and is playing like this, they are going to get obliterated on, in front of God and everyone on that broadcast, right? Like,
yeah.
And some of it I will say is probably the offense. Like you said, it's predictable at times. It drives me nuts feeling like in short yardage play calling, 3rd and short, 4th and short, goal line stuff. It's like the same play over and over. And it's a good play, but you're not good enough to run that play 10 times in the first half and have it keep working every time. Like, Virginia Tech's defense is kind of mid, like it's maybe a little bit, slightly above average or something, but like they figured it out by the 4th time you ran it and stuffed it, and they stuffed it again, and they stuffed it again, and they stuffed it again. Like, figure something else out, Buster. And again, you didn't have to. You won this game by 15 points, without doing any of that. But it definitely gives me concerns. But the defense for sure is where, man, that defensive line, like, I guess they did get a little bit of pressure on Kyron Drones today, but I mean, it doesn't feel like they're going to be able to do this against any of the better teams that they see this year. Certainly the run game. I mean, the Hokies ran the ball for almost 6 yards a carry in this game. I mean, they had a handful of chunk plays. Giving up. It's funny because somebody mentioned, believe it or not, the Hokies did not convert a 3rd down in this game. And I was like, how is that possible? Well, they went 3 of 4 on 4th down, and they had 20 first downs in this game, meaning on 1st and 2nd down, they were able to rip off a handful of chunk plays to keep everything moving. So you won, you're 6-0, you're bowl eligible, like you're ranked, and everyone's happy. And I don't want to like crap in the Cheerios, but like, next week you're going to go to Durham, and I think you're going to probably play the best offense you've seen so far this year. I tweeted this out a little bit ago. This game opened at, unranked Duke is favored by 2.5 against a top 15, top 12-ish undefeated team. Vegas knows, Mike.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech is going to have to come out with a good game plan with some sort of execution on defense that we have not really seen from them a lot of this year. Like, and I guess some of it might be like they do give up a ton of yards, it feels like, and yet you start looking at how many points they give up. It's really not that many.
Yep.
So maybe that's part of the strategy here that I'm just not really picking up on as much as like give up yards between the 20s and play red zone roulette and win more often than not. But it's all that. And by the way, for a defense that was already a little bit shaky, I don't really know. They also lost Amari Harvey, their top corner, to an injury in the second half here. Not clear the severity of that. He might be okay to play next week. He might be done for the year. It's really, really unclear. But without that guy, I mean, he's been arguably your best defensive player this year. And if you don't have him down the stretch, I don't know what this is going to look like.
Yeah.
So I think we're kind of in the same place here with Georgia Tech. Is like, it's going well so far from a wins and losses standpoint. You've had more points on the scoreboard than your opponents every week, but like probably should have lost to Wake, reasonably could have lost to Clemson at any given point. Like, I don't know how long you keep this up, and maybe you make it to Charlotte still, might still end up in a high-end bowl game, but like the college football playoff dreams are wishful at this point, it feels like.
Yeah. The top 20 resume thing is, that's accurate. It feels like a top 30-ish team just from a power rating neutral field standpoint.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think they're good. They're good. They're above average.
Yeah.
They're going to win a lot of the games they're supposed to win, which is why they're 6-0.
Yeah. One of the 5 or 6 best teams in the ACC for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got my concerns going forward. I mean, beat Duke. You've still got Pitt at home here coming up the week before you play Georgia. Mm-hmm. Pitt's coming to life for sure.
Yeah, different team with Heinzel.
But I think that's probably the thing you look at is if you can find a way to beat Duke next weekend in Durham, your next 3 games, and there's a bye week mixed in here somewhere. I can't really remember exactly where, but it's Syracuse, at NC State, at Boston College. And that could be 3 layups, basically.
You should win all of those.
Yeah, you absolutely should. And then you got Pitt and Georgia to finish off the year. So huge one in Durham at noon next weekend.
Yeah. A pretty consequential game for, I think, from a national standpoint, for people looking at a second ACC team for the college football playoff.
Mm-hmm.
You got to take care of business in Durham. Like you mentioned, the next 3 are layups. You finish with Pitt and Georgia. Like, your 3 toughest games, Pitt, Duke, and Georgia, are
still.
Can you go 2 for 3 there? Can you go 2 for 3 there? Right?
Yeah. Yeah. If you drop, I'm curious if a 7-1 in the ACC Georgia Tech team makes it to Charlotte. Obviously, Virginia also still undefeated. There's going to be other teams in that mix as well. Hard to think that you're going to get 2 teams in the ACC that run the gamut, the entire year. But
right,
you never know. Yeah, and Dennis, by the way, Tech fans doing the classic, waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm a seasoned Atlanta sports fan, and Dennis, like, I've done this dance before.
And I'm not even a Georgia Tech fan. I just think this team can be had. Watching the last 2 times out, seeing what happened against Wake, and then just seeing how they the running game for Virginia Tech has not been that good this year. It's been the best part of Virginia Tech's offense, but like, it has not been very good. And to give up almost 6 yards per carry against this offensive line, I'm telling you guys, I watch this team every week. That's something that's kind of alarming.
Cause for concern.
As a Hokie who watches this really bad football team every week, if you're giving up 6 yards per carry against this offensive line, it's just something to note. Like, I see some comments in here in the chat about us being super negative, this, that, and the other thing. I'm telling you, I'm just letting you know. Like, it's not a good thing to give up that kind of rushing output to this team.
I'd rather be right than optimistic.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest.
Yeah. We're wrong plenty, and I could be wrong about this too. I don't know.
While we're talking about this game, by the way, speaking of being wrong, what was going on with the 2-point conversion decisions going on in this game?
I don't know.
I locked up the Hokies plus 14.5. I lose it by half a point because Brent Key decides to go for 2 on the opening drive for reasons. And this, for the record, if you didn't watch this game, this was not like set up for the swinging gate. Hokies didn't, line up right, so they go ahead and run it. This was the offense stayed on the field. They ran like a jet sweep touch pass thing to Malik Rutherford, and that was it. Like, they went for it and they got it. Like,
they were trying some stuff.
Yeah. And then later in the game, the Hokies score a touchdown with like 5 minutes left, whatever it was. Philip Montgomery's going for 2 when it's already a 15-point game. Like, the math doesn't make sense that you would go for 2 in that spot. What are we doing?
I don't know.
Kick the extra point. I want my lock, Mike.
We're going to, this team sucks. Let's try some stuff. That's what that felt like.
Just YOLO stuff from Phil Montgomery there late in that game. I don't know. Yeah. There was a little bit of some bizarre stuff that happened here. And the other thing I want to mention, and we kind of talked about this a little bit before we came on. I've been seeing some chatter on Twitter, which, just the best place on earth, but chatter about, Georgia Tech is benefiting from the referees. The officials are just in the bag for Georgia Tech. I thought the officials were bad on both sides in this game.
Yeah.
Like, stuff getting called, not getting called. Like, this was surprisingly not the worst officiating crew I saw all day.
Not even close.
Shout out to that crew at Jordan Hare last night.
God, that horrible.
My goodness.
Yeah.
But I thought that this crew was kind of a disaster, at least in the first half, and just there was a whole like end of the first half sequence where
I'm clapping. Sorry.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Georgia
Tech got down with about 30 seconds left. I thought that Josh Beetham scored. I thought he was in the end zone. They mark him short. They decide not to review it. Then Tech runs a sneak, and Haynes King looks like he's in. There's a flag, defensive offsides. Somehow the touchdown doesn't count, or the play just doesn't count. there's a whole sequence where I was like, what is going on? Like, there was a timeout and the clock situation. I mean, the whole thing was it was a mess. This officiating crew sucked, but they're not the only ones, so it's fine.
Now, the next game we'll talk about, there was an interesting officiating play that might come up in awards later.
Yeah, for sure. That's all I got here, Mike.
Yeah, it was a good 15 minutes on that.
Yeah, I'll take that. This recap and all of them brought to you by section103.com. Use promo code GOACC at checkout for 10% off your first order for all sorts of wonderful Georgia Tech, LSU, Georgia Southern, and Kennesaw State apparel, as it were. They got t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, things for men, women, children, babies, something for the whole family. They've got hats. They've got all sorts of great apparel there. High quality, looks fantastic, officially licensed, official word marks, all the official proper colors, especially at Georgia Tech. You know that's tough to do. One of these, if you want to remind the people who the real Tech is, you can get a shirt just like this at section103.com. Feels fantastic. Had it for years. Wear it all the time. Love it. So they got new things coming out all the time. They got different deals coming out as Georgia Tech pulls off wins against different opponents, or LSU or Kennesaw State or whoever. So go check it all out. Section103.com. Use promo code GOACC at checkout for 10% off your first order. Shout out to Steven and the gang. Appreciate their support of the Basketball Conference podcast as always.
Shout out, Steven.
Shout out to Steven. Where to, Mike?
Notre Dame, NC State. Let's go there.
The number 16 Notre Dame Fighting Irish 36, NC State 7. This was close, and then it wasn't.
Yeah, let me just get the banner and the timestamps. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, we mentioned this on the rapid recap. So Notre Dame had 2 fourth down decisions in the first half that really kind of came back to bite them. One was pretty deep in NC State territory there when CJ Carr threw an interception. Notre Dame didn't finish drives in the first half. I thought NC State did a good job hanging in there, but offensively they really couldn't get anything going, especially on the ground. They have struggled to run Hollywood smothers against some of the better teams on their schedule so far, and I think that's just a trend to watch. Notre Dame's offense, I thought, moved the ball pretty well, even in the first half. It was just one of those situations where they weren't finishing drives and they were letting NC State hang around.
Yeah.
The stat that they kept showing at halftime of this game, when Notre Dame was only leading 10-7, the only stat that came out of half, I understand it's a Peacock broadcast and it's, Notre Dame is, the NBC entity, like the entity of all entities for NBC's college football coverage. I don't care what you call the Big Ten Saturday night. They schedule all that stuff around Notre Dame, even still. It's a Notre Dame production. The stat they talked about coming out of halftime was Notre Dame's like failing their last 4 fourth down conversions or whatever it was, dating back to a week ago against Boise State.
Mm-hmm.
So the story coming out of halftime wasn't like NC State played well, NC State did this, NC State did that. It was no, Notre Dame just hasn't converted fourth downs. It's like, okay. Yeah. Then the second
they did have a pair of drives that they stalled out on fourth down inside the 10-yard line.
Right.
Could have kicked field goals, maybe should have punched it in, but ultimately NC State's defense gets the stop twice in the first half. Right.
And hat tip to NC State, right? For the defense keeping them in it and getting off the field, right? There's no shame in that game for sure. Mm-hmm. But then Notre Dame's offense just kind of woke up in the second half, started finishing drives. And that was the story. NC State offensively just could not move the ball consistently on this Notre Dame defense at all. That was the story of the game here. It kind of went as expected when you look at how NC State has struggled running the football this year. A lot is put on CJ Bailey. A lot was put on him again in this game to produce through the air. Obviously, when you're going up against a Notre Dame defense that has been improving as quickly as they have, and you put CJ Bailey in obvious passing situations, that's probably not going to be a good thing. Mm-hmm. Notre Dame's defense just really got after him in the second half of this game. He finishes with 3 interceptions. Notre Dame's offense just finished drives. That was it. I mean, CJ Carr was after halftime. CJ Carr was really, really good. Notre Dame ran the ball well. I thought NC State actually did a better job at containing Jeremiah Love for the most part here than they did Jadarian Price. At one point in this game, I think Jeremiah Love was only averaging around 3 yards per carry.
Mm-hmm.
So NC State's defense, I thought, really stepped up and played well in the first half, but they just got worn down.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and they didn't get a lot of help from the offense. I mean,
Right.
they come in with under 250 yards of total offense. And I mean, you look at what they did after halftime on offense. And again, they moved it a little bit in the first half. They did score a touchdown on their third drive. They had another drive after that picked up some chunk yardage. But after halftime, Mike,
You're going to do the drive chart thing?
3 and out, 5 plays punt, interception, interception, safety, interception.
Yeah.
Not great.
Yeah.
Not great. And that's how Notre Dame, is able to kind of just run away with it in the second half. But yeah, I mean, good effort from NC State's defense for a while to keep this close and at least, come up with some moments there in the first half where they made some impactful plays. Clearly doing their best to make it a point to stop Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price running the ball. But CJ Carr, low-key, pretty good. And
yeah,
I mean, if anything, I think that's a little bit instructive on how good Miami is. And that was first start, road game, week 1, all that. So, it's a little bit – you can give them a little bit of grace. But, Miami's defense did a great job, I thought, against this Notre Dame passing attack. And you saw here what exactly they're capable of when really humming.
I think they're pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they're what they were a year ago, but they're pretty good.
I don't think the defense is what it was a year ago, for sure.
No. I don't think so either. I think they, especially with how Carr's playing, offense looks different this year just because it's like Carr can run, but he's not like Riley Leonard. It's not like a power running attack offensively. But I think they've certainly taken a step up in the passing game with Carr. He's big time.
Yep. He can sling it.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, NC State kind of put a lot on CJ Bailey here and
had
a couple of good moments, had a couple of terrible moments too. A couple of those interceptions were not something you want to see from a second-year starter midway through the year. Just completely not seeing defenders and making really ill-advised throws at times. I don't know. I don't know where we're at with NC State. They're 4-3. They might be able to find a way to a bowl game. I don't know where we're at with Dave Doran. It seems like that situation has gotten pretty toxic in Raleigh with that fan base. I mean, it's not impossible for sure. I mean, they've still got at Pitt, Georgia Tech, at Miami. It's going to be a rough 3-game stretch coming up, but then Florida State and North Carolina at home to end the year. You could find your way into a bowl game for sure, but it seems it's starting to feel like things have kind of run their course in Raleigh and everyone might be just ready to move on.
Yeah. It does feel that way.
We'll see. We've called for the demise of Dave Doran as NC State's head coach in the past. I say we. I use the we word pretty strongly there, but
we had an entire offseason podcast on it. Then NC State had their best year of the Dave Doran tenure immediately following that. And Joey every week Joey just had to sit here with a straight face and talk about NC State in a good way. It was so funny.
Yep.
Oh.
You know what, right? You know what, Mike? Never wrong, just early.
Never wrong, just early. That's right.
That's all I got here.
Yeah, that's about all we can say.
Last thing I will say, I did not watch this game live because I'm not paying for another subscription service to have to watch this game.
Yeah,
stupid Peacock nonsense with Notre Dame, ridiculous.
How about that pass that was very clearly incomplete? The officials looked at for 15 minutes. And then it was ruled a completed pass. A call on the field stood, and then Terry McAuley gets on Twitter. He's, by the way, he's doing these games for NBC. Gets on Twitter. He's like, I can't believe they ruled that a completed pass. It's one of the worst calls I've seen made in my 10 years on television or whatever. It's wow. Okay, tell me
air it out, Terry.
Tell me how you really feel, Terry.
Put it in reverse, Terry. Notre Dame 36, NC State 7.
Let's talk about the Knolls. This will be a more fruitful conversation.
Yeah. Speaking of things might be going poorly, Pitt 34, number 25, Florida State 31. As mentioned in the Rhoback Rapid Recap, Mason Heinschel, Desmond Reed played their asses off in this game.
Yes.
I felt like, and I want to start by saying, like, we see a team like Florida State and they lose another game and they're 0-3 in the conference. And we saw what happened last year. I feel like the natural, there's a few of these teams I think that like things aren't going well for that. Like, I feel like the natural reaction is like, oh, they're quitting. I don't think Virginia Tech is necessarily quitting. I don't think that Florida State's quitting. Like, I did not see quit in this. I just saw a slow, underwhelming defense. I saw an offense that was kind of forced to try to move the ball by throwing it, which again, with Tommy Castellanos, you don't want to do. I saw Pitt moving the ball really well, and Mason Heinschel showing a ton of moxie. Desmond Reed doing everything he could to win this game. He had two touchdowns receiving, as well as a couple of chunk plays in the run game. Like, I was impressed with Pitt here. A little bit disappointed with Florida State, but I mean, 2 games into this Mason Heinschel thing for Pitt, like, they look totally different on offense right now with him running the show.
They do. It's I was out on Pitt. I'm back in. I mean, this move away from Eli Holstein to Mason Heinschel has totally changed the trajectory of their season.
Mm-hmm.
He's been really, really good. Came in, he's looked comfortable. He's throwing the ball well. He ran the ball well in this game. Again, producing outside the pocket gives them more athleticism at the quarterback position. And yeah, Desmond Reed, when he's healthy and on the field, he's a problem. And this is kind of the high end of what you get when, he's able to suit up and play and be 100%. This is probably the closest we've seen to 100% Desmond Reed since the opener. It's, we hadn't played too much over the past month. Hasn't looked healthy when he has been in. So yeah, he looked really good. Looked healthy. Florida State's defense was bad here. I mean, they were really bad. Guys running wide open in the secondary. I mean, Reed absolutely shredded them. Heinschel was able to get outside the pocket. Florida State's linebackers looked totally disinterested in tackling him. Secondary looked lost. I'm very out on Florida State's defense right now. The last 2 weeks. I don't know if this is a situation where Miami just beat you twice or what on that side of the ball, but this is not the same defense that we saw in the opener against Alabama. They look way worse now than they did in September.
Mm-hmm.
They're a little banged up front. I get it, but yeah, man, linebackers look slow. Secondary look lost. Norvell is yelling at Tony White. I don't know, man. It's a mess. I mean, he was kind of giving him an earful leaving the field yesterday. Obviously, the pressure is getting to Norvell a little bit here, which I understand. I mean, this is a home game against a Pitt team with a freshman quarterback, and you couldn't figure it out. I get why you're getting a little frustrated. And I know the buyout's huge, and I don't like calling for people's jobs, but I think Florida State should maybe do something different here. I think it's kind of. I think you can do better than Norvell. Like, I think Norvell's a fine coach. I think he'll probably truthfully do well elsewhere. Obviously, he's had some success at Florida State. I don't think he's a bad coach. I just don't think he's the right fit. And it's been a very up and down. What is this, year 5? Year 6? What is this at this point?
I think he started in 2020. I think his first game as Florida State's head coach was against Georgia Tech starting quarterback Jeff Sims, who I think had been committed to Florida State, and then he dropped him, and then Jeff Sims beat him and like almost beat nobody ever since. Basically, who started
a college football game yesterday, by the way, Jeff Sims.
Yeah, what year is it? Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I wonder if some of the message is starting to ring hollow there in Tallahassee, and just it's like the trajectory that Mike Norvell has been on since he's been there is wild. Like,
yeah,
he's had high highs, and he has had low lows, and just kind of everything in between. And yeah, I don't know. The thing that I was disappointed by was schematically Florida State's defense. So Tony White, for those who don't know, he comes off the Rocky Long tree. Rocky Long was a long time head coach at San Diego State, famous for the 3-3-5 defense. And the reason that I bring that up is because notoriously that defense and that scheme is supposed to be really tricky, like really difficult for opposing quarterbacks to figure out. And I'm thinking about Mason Heinschel and his second career start as a true freshman.
Yeah.
Can we not cook up anything that's going to like confuse him or bother him or anything? Because he seemed completely comfortable this entire game.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm Mike Norvell, if I'm a Florida State fan, that's where I'm frustrated. Is like, it didn't seem like they did a whole lot of anything schematically that was really even like disrupting a lot of what Pitt was trying to do on offense. And I did think Cade Bell called a really good game. I did get to watch most of this game. I thought they had some good play calling, some good decision making. They went for it on fourth down, I think like 3 times on their first drive or something. They punched it in for a touchdown. Like, shout out to Pat Narduzzi for all of a sudden going for it on fourth down whenever possible. But impressed with Pitt here. Kind of disappointed for Florida State. And I guess the last thing I wanted to say about Florida State here, Mike, and you kind of alluded to it a minute ago. If we take that Alabama game and we say week 1 weirdness, like Alabama hasn't looked the same since, right? Like I think they've been undefeated ever since that game. Their offense has looked way better than it did in that game. Like, if we just dismiss the week 1, weirdness, like season, opening the season, Florida State running a new offense with new personnel, like all that, just throw that game out and we just look at what's happened since. Where are we at on Florida State? Because they obliterated East Texas A&M, who is an underwhelming FCS team. They obliterated maybe the worst team in the FBS in Kent State.
They won this weekend, by the way. Go Flashes.
Hell yeah, Flashes.
First conference win for Kent State in like 2.5 years.
Yeah. Go get them. They've since lost 3 in a row at Virginia, against Miami, and against Pitt. Now, all of them one-score losses for the record. But it kind of feels like Florida State's at the point where losing is in their DNA. That's not a good place to be.
And they're obviously not going to fire him because they would have done it already. But here's the thing, right? They're going to probably win a lot of games down the stretch.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Stanford, Wake, Clemson, Virginia Tech, NC State, at Florida. I would take Florida on a neutral field right now, but I'm not sure Napier is going to be coaching that game, given Florida's schedule. Like, there's a good chance he's not. So we'll see. But I think, and because of that, there's a chance that Florida State's going to be favored in every game the rest of the season. Again, I would take Florida right now. Like, that game's in the swamp, by the way. If they play that game today, like this weekend, like middle of October, I would take Florida. Like, I think Florida's playing better football right now, even losing at A&M this weekend. I think Florida's playing better. That game's at the end of the year. Napier's probably not going to be there. They're likely going to be favored in every game the rest of the way. So they would finish 9-3 in the regular season, assuming that they win every game. By the way, I don't think they're going to win every game. I think there's probably another loss or 2 left on the schedule. At least 1 loss. And that puts you in kind of a precarious situation heading into 26, because then you're looking at this Norvell tenure. Like, what are you? Like, you've obviously had a good 22 season. You had a really good 23. 24 was a disaster. And 25, I think, if you finish like 8-4, right? Or which could be 8-5 or 9-4, depending on what happens in a bowl game you play in. Like, how are you going to feel about that? Coming off at 2-10, you're going to be a little bit disappointed, especially after how the season started, beating Alabama, who's looking like, by the way, the best team in the SEC.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, where we at here? I feel like they're treading water a little bit.
Yeah.
Which, if you're Florida State, I mean, you're used to the expectations of playing for national titles.
You sued the conference because you have higher hopes than that. Higher aspirations than that.
Drew Weatherford's out there like pulling whatever hair he has out. It's just crazy.
I think Nuke Jacket makes an interesting point that they'll maybe wait a cycle before firing Norvell. I mean, besides the buyout, there's going to be a lot of major coaching vacancies this year. We've already got Penn State, UCLA, Virginia Tech, potential for Florida, Auburn, Wisconsin. Did Wisconsin move on Fickle today?
No, they should have.
Oh boy,
surprised they didn't. No, we're gonna keep that train rolling for some reason.
Yeah, yeah, that's the whole thing. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Will Secor brings up. Speaking of the MAC.
Oh yeah.
How about those Bowling Green Falcons? Hold on, where's the button? Where's the button? It's in here. It's in here. Where'd it go? There you go. They won a game too.
Against Toledo, Eddie George was partying in the locker room. And remember, Joey, there's a missile involved here.
Yeah.
Right?
Pointed right at him.
It is the most underrated rivalry in college football.
Yeah.
Bowling Green, Toledo. Obviously, the two schools involved really hate each other, but it's not talked about enough. I mean, that's a huge win in year one for Eddie George.
Shout out to Eddie George and Pudge.
And Pudge the cat. They were partying in the locker room. That was quite the scene.
This is the best sport on earth, and I will hear no mention otherwise.
Yep.
Anyways, I'm good here. Anything else on this game?
No, nothing else. I think Pitt is quietly improving. They're going to be sneaky good down the stretch. And yeah, Heinzel has changed the trajectory of the season.
Yep. I would agree with that. Pitt 34, Florida State 31.
Let's just do it in chronological order. Want to do SMU Stanford? These will be quick. So.
Let's do SMU Stanford. Yeah, this was kind of ho-hum, kind of what you expected. SMU was up 17-0 late in the first half. Stanford does score a touchdown to make it 17-7 at halftime, but then SMU hits the gas a little bit after halftime and gets some separation. SMU still, as I'm going to keep saying the same thing every week, basically. Like, I do feel like SMU lacks a little bit of the killer instinct or just a little bit of the juice. A word that I hate to use, but I don't really know what else to say. I don't know that they have as much juice as they had last year necessarily. But certainly, made easy work here of a pretty poor Stanford team. So shout out to the Ponies.
Yeah, shout out. They play at Clemson on Saturday. That's going to tell us a lot about SMU because Clemson's obviously put some stuff together the last 2 weeks. We'll talk about them in a few minutes against two really, really bad teams, like bottom feeder teams in the ACC. But yeah, now Clemson will be challenged against a competent opponent this weekend. So we're going to learn a lot about both teams, I think.
Yeah. And Dennis mentions SMU still to this point has not lost an ACC regular season game.
Yeah.
Since joining the conference, which is kind of wild, but things that are true. Yeah, I think that game next week against Clemson is a fascinating game. Just kind of on both ends of litmus test of like where are each of these programs at. I am excited to watch that game. I'll tell you that right now.
SMU, I think, needs this game to stay alive in ACC title consideration.
Yeah,
because they still have games against Miami and Louisville to play. And I think if you win 2 out of those 3 games, you're going to be sitting at 7-1 with a pretty good chance to get to Charlotte. And again, it's Georgia Tech could be sitting at 7-1. Virginia could be sitting at 7-1. So it becomes a really important game here. This is one of the 3 most important remaining games for SMU on the schedule if they want to try to get back to the ACC title.
For sure. Last one on this for me. Kobe Bryant Memorial Volume Shooter of the Week Award nominee. Micah Ford, 16 carries for 53 yards in this game. And that included a 13-yard carry, meaning the other 15 went for 40 yards.
Yeah, it was not great.
Kobe. So just wanted to call that out. Might be making another appearance here in just a minute, but we'll see. I don't have anything else here.
Let's move on.
SMU 34, Stanford 10. This was the front half of the CW doubleheader. The back half, Wake Forest 39, Oregon State 14 in a game that was not that close.
No.
I mentioned this in the Rhoback Rapid Recap, Mike. Really impressed with Wake. Going in here without Robbie Ashford, going all the way across the country, and just making no mistake of just who was the better team here. I mean, just right out of the gate, Wake gets up 15-0 in the first quarter. They're up 22-0 at halftime. 25-0 at halftime. This was never close. This was never competitive. They never gave the Beavers any chance to get into this game. Lots of reasons to think that Wake could have stumbled and had problems here, and they just absolutely took care of business. Really impressed with the Deeks and how they played in this game.
Yeah, they were good here. Damon Claiborne, 16 for 144, and to score, I mentioned Chris Barnes. He caught all 3 of his passes for touchdowns. Claiborne had the 166-yard run, but even without that, he had 15 carries for 78 yards. He was running the ball well in this game. So Oregon State just had no answer. They're really, really bad. Remember, former Duke quarterback Malik Murphy is the starter there, and it's been a rough go of it this year. He was 13 of 30 in this game for 130 yards and interception against a Wake Forest defense that is not very good. So this is a really, really bad Oregon State team. This was a really silly line at Wake -2.5. I mean, you and I both laid them on the preview. There was no reason not to. Oregon State's horrible. So, yeah, a nice win for Wake. And like you mentioned, they do have a decent chance of getting to bowl eligibility. They still have games against North Carolina, Delaware, and Duke. And you kind of throw the records out in the Duke game a little bit at the end of the year. SMU, Florida State, and Virginia are the next 3. Those are going to be tough. But, yeah, there's 2 more wins on the schedule for Wake Forest. I think they're going to go to a bowl game.
What's the spread when Wake goes to Tallahassee in a few weeks?
If it's Florida State outside of if it was Florida State -10.5, would you take Wake?
I was kind of thinking it might be like Knowles -8.5, and I still might take Wake at that point.
Yeah,
Wake is playing harder at times than I'm seeing from Florida State. And again, not putting Florida State on quit watch, but the Deeks are impressing me here, Mike. Like, they are better than I thought they were going to be preseason. I think I saw something earlier on Twitter from Connor O'Neill, our guy, saying something basically the exact same. And I remember had a short little conversation with him outside of the recording that we did for the team preview. And the sense I got from him was like, this team might be cheeks and a half, like terrible.
Yeah.
And they are not that. Like, they are a decidedly plucky team that, again, I think they got a bowl game in their future.
Dickert has them well coached, man. That's going to be. We were intrigued by the fit, and it seems to be working out so far.
Yeah, clearly that guy can coach. So
for sure.
Shout out to the Deeks. Anything else here?
No.
Wake 39, Oregon State 14. Last one.
Man.
Clemson 41, Boston College 10. Boston College gave some effort here, and then it just completely got away from them a little bit before halftime.
Outclassed. Just, I mean, these last 2 defenses that Clemson has played has made Cade Klubnik look astonishingly competent. It's unbelievable, actually.
Yeah, it's telling.
So, yeah, I saw a good bit of this. It was on my 7 p.m. window quad box. So I had them in the quad box. That night slate was a little, I don't know, picked over last night, I would say, with all the crazy afternoon games. But Boston College really struggled to move it here. They tried to establish some sort of running game on the ground. They just could not do it. Lonergan was not comfortable in the pocket at all. Clemson's defense, how many sacks? 5 sacks, 7 tackles for loss. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty dominant, to be honest with you. And yeah, BC hung around, and they scored that touchdown to cut it to 7 the second quarter. But Clemson was kind of on cruise control here from the start. It felt like they just looked a lot better. Yeah,
another
Clemson's-
Shaker Reisig appearance late in this game for the Eagles. I think Mike froze there, and it was at the absolute perfect time because the, the look on Mike's face is absolute horror at the name Shaker Reisig. And no, that's not a made-up name. That's actually Boston College's backup. All right, definitely going with Mike froze here. So I think about teams and like candidates for potential quit situations. And some of it is like badly underperforming. Mike, do you see the look on your face that it froze on? That was outstanding.
Did it freeze or did
As soon as I said Shaker Reisig and you were like, is that English? That's when it froze. That's
didn't even freeze. My browser just kicked me.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Hasn't happened in a while.
I think about teams that are candidates to quit. And the big one, obviously, is teams that like are massively underperforming preseason expectations, and like to the point of like expected to make the playoff, have lost 2 or 3 times in the first half of the season, basically, like that kind of thing. The other one is teams that lose a couple times early and like really don't like their coach.
Yeah,
and I think that's a little bit of what you saw with Georgia Tech under Jeff Collins. I get the sense you might be seeing a little bit of that with this Boston College team and Bill O'Brien. Like, I'm just, again, I've heard a little rumbling here or there that he is not the most beloved, endearing, figure.
Yeah.
Within that athletic department, and I don't know how hard that they are playing for him. I will say.
All right. Let's play a game called Does Boston College win another game?
Ooh.
I'm going to say no.
I thought you were going to say bowl game. I was going to say no, but let's just check.
All right. They host UConn on Saturday.
Right now, underdogs, right? What we have an early line on that?
Probably. Let me
get UConn 4. Oh no, they are favored. Wow.
BC -1.5.
Give me the Huskies.
Give me the Huskies. Let's continue. At Louisville.
No.
Home against Notre Dame.
LOL.
There could be blood on the field there. That could be bad. Home against SMU. No way. Home against Georgia Tech. No way. Stop. At Syracuse.
I don't think so. I mean, so you got to consider like that's the last game of the season. Like you could be full on free fall quit mode by that point. Syracuse, obviously a totally different team without Steve Angeli, but I do think that they're playing hard. And I do think that Syracuse team will play hard for Fran Brown.
Is Fran Brown coaching that game?
Where else is he coaching?
He's popping up on coach search list. Yeah, dude. Can you imagine if they hired you fired James Franklin to hire Fran Brown? Like, I like Fran Brown. I think he's a good coach. I think he would recruit the hell out of Penn State. But are we seriously going to go from James Franklin to Fran Brown, who's coached like 20 college games? What are we doing?
Yes,
I like Fran Brown. I like Fran Brown. Come on.
I do think that Fran Brown is coaching that game Thanksgiving weekend, and I do think that Syracuse is playing hard for him. Syracuse could be like in bowl contention, like needing that game to go to a bowl game or something like that. Like this is beyond cooked for Boston College. Like I think 3-9 is, maybe slightly above average result from here, but based on what we're seeing the last couple of games, like if they get to 4 wins somehow, I'll be stunned.
Yeah, I think the most likely outcome is 2-10.
Yeah,
because I think they're probably splitting UConn and Syracuse. 1-11 would be really funny. 1-11. I mean, Bill O'Brien's definitely getting fired.
Oh yeah.
There's no reason for Boston College to be that bad.
Gosh, and again, you probably should have beaten Michigan State. We said last time that like post-game win expectancy, you were like a 75% chance to win that game. And then you go all the way to Stanford and have a late night clunker situation. Okay, that happens. And then you get JKS at home by Cal. And like all of that you can explain away and you can understand. Yep. What you can't explain is losing by 41 to Pitt and now just getting completely dumped on by a Clemson team that is still in the process of kind of figuring it out. Like this is the part where I'm thinking like we're done here. Like they're checked out.
So one more thing. They probably should have won the Michigan State game, right? Went to overtime. They lost in East Lansing. Tough game. We talked about that. And then you travel cross country to Stanford and you kind of let Michigan State beat you twice. Then you lose to Cal. And the thing about those 3 losses is they came by a total of 16 points.
Right.
You lost 2 games, one of them Michigan State by 2, another one to Cal by 4, and then you lost by 10 to Stanford. But then you've also been outscored 89-17 the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So it has been not competitive at all in your last 2 losses in particular, hence the whole Joey and I talking about the quitting thing.
Mm-hmm.
One of those games was to Pittsburgh, who, yes, I see that Mason Heinschel caught everybody by surprise, but to lose by 41 there and then to look totally uncompetitive against Clemson here, because, yeah, they showed a little fight, but this thing was pretty much over at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. And then for the game against UConn to basically open as a pick'em, just not where you thought your season was going to be when you were heading to overtime at East Lansing. That's not where you did not think that you were going to be in this spot in mid-October against UConn, which should have been one of the surefire wins on the schedule. And now it's a pick'em.
Also, by the way, that loss to Michigan State, not aging all that great.
Aging poorly, by the way. I say that as a Michigan State -7.5 ticket holder yesterday. That is one I put in late and instantly regretted.
Yeah. That was kindling by halftime.
Yes, that game was a wrap.
Yeah, they've lost by multiple scores in every Big Ten, or every Power 5 game, all against Big Ten teams that they've played since, including against a UCLA team that was winless before, doing the Penn State thing a week before. Not great for Boston College.
Good for Clemson. What's Clemson?
This is where, and again, we're in this weird, middle of the season, medium sample size standpoint of okay, you played LSU to a touchdown and lost. You lost a last-second field goal at Georgia Tech in a game that, again, post-game win expectancy says 75% chance of winning. Then you just completely no-showed basically at home against Syracuse. And now you've looked great again against North Carolina and Boston College in back-to-back weeks. I think this SMU game next week is just so meaningful for what both of these teams are, frankly.
So, 2 things. Number one, I think Clemson is going to be favored in every game the rest of the way. Secondly, look at the.
I don't know if they're favored at Louisville.
Maybe not at Louisville, but that would be the one I would say. Okay, maybe not.
Yeah.
So, fine. Point taken. Joey, I just took a look at the SMU line.
Uh-oh.
Clemson's laying 9.5.
Oh my! Hold on. Is that in Death Valley? Yeah, it is.
It's in Death Valley.
Huh.
Opened at 8.5. It's now been bet to Clemson 9.5. Let's see where that ends up when we record later this week.
That's exactly where my head was let's see where that line is on Wednesday or Thursday, because if they get that into double digits, I'm probably in on SMU.
I would agree. Are we overreacting to Clemson playing 2 ACC bottom feeders the last 2 weeks? And remember how they've looked against semi-competent competition this year.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be the most. I don't know if that's the best game of the weekend next week. I mean, we've got Louisville, Miami Friday night, which should be interesting at the very least.
Yep.
But we got Georgia Tech Duke on Saturday at noon. But that game might be the most just fascinating of hard to say really what either of these teams is at this point, and get to find out a lot. Learn something Saturday, as they would say on certain other podcasts.
That's right.
anyways, Clemson 41, Boston College 10.
An hour 9. We said we'd be done in hour 12. So
let's do the awards. Let's do them quick. Do we have a Go ACC moment of the week?
I was going to say the officiating in the Notre Dame NC State game, that dropped pass that they ruled complete after staring at it for 12 minutes. I mean, that's certainly a candidate for me.
Honorable mention the whole end of the first half, basically, for Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech, with, again, possible missed spot. Not sure why we missed another officiating situation with probably a QB sneak that should have counted that didn't, and then there was a penalty. I mean, it was just a really messy 30 seconds basically of football and officiating. Yep. So shout out to that one. There was another sequence somewhere that somebody had mentioned. I forget what it was. Somebody's in the chat probably will be able to tell us, but Go ACC to all of that.
Yep.
The Kobe Bryant Memorial Volume Shooter of the Week Award. For me, that definitely has to go to Micah Ford from Stanford. 16 carries for 53 yards. Kobe.
Mine was also going to be in the ACC with NC State.
Yeah.
The combination of Hollywood Smothers, Jaden Scott, and Will Wilson rushed the ball 19 times for 65 yards. Just less than 3 yards per carry.
Hell yeah.
63 yards even. Maybe just over 3 yards per carry. Wasn't good.
Doing a little with a lot.
Yeah, that was certainly a candidate. Also, honorable mention to a former ACC player, Malik Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
The 13 for 30 line was not very good.
Yeah. Hucking that thing, but it's not getting very far.
Yeah.
Jeff Sims for Arizona State, 18 for 38 for 124 yards, 21 carries for 53 yards.
That's hard to do.
Tough scene.
That's tough to do.
I want to like Jeff Sims, man, but he makes it hard to like him sometimes.
He does make it hard.
The Brian Van Gordon Memorial You Tried Award.
Oregon State trying to cover Chris Barnes.
That's true. Shout out to the Beavers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give it to Florida State. They tried. It didn't go very well. The Bobby Petrino Memorial You Didn't Try Award, I think, goes to Boston College this week.
Yeah, that's an easy one. Yeah.
They're tapping out here. Any other awards here, Mike?
You Died Award goes to NC State.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not great in Raleigh.
No, I mean it can also go to Boston College, but we just handed one out to them.
Yeah. Can't get too greedy here for the Eagles.
Cannot.
Team of the week, Pittsburgh.
Team of the week's Pittsburgh. My player of the week is Mason Heinchel through the air on the ground. Really, really good.
I will take Desmond Reed on the ground and in the receiving game, who was just all over the place. It kind of felt like sometimes Pitt's game plan was Desmond Reed, and it was a good decision. Like he was awesome in this game.
And I've brought up Chris Barnes 1,000 times, but when you have 3 catches for 102 yards and 3 touchdowns, you are definitely in the discussion.
That'll do. Nuke Jacket, the Jimbo Fisher Memorial You Got Paid Award goes to James Franklin.
Yes, that's right.
I noted this on Twitter a little bit ago, by the way, but I've seen, especially, I mean, Virginia Tech fans were like,
dude,
eyes getting real big.
First of all, it won't happen. But second of all, like the Virginia Tech fans are saying that they don't want James Franklin because he doesn't win any big games. But I saw somebody tweet this out. It was pretty good. It's like, yeah, we don't want a coach that's never won any big games. Meanwhile, they just built a statue outside the stadium for a coach that never won any big games in Frank Beamer, which is a very, very funny response. This team got run off the field by Old Dominion, and we're worried about a coach that can't win big games. Like, guys, come on, let's reprioritize here.
I feel like I have to bring up the fact that I try to be a pretty down the middle, I'm trying to, be reasonable, not to, not too much of a dick basically to other people like during games. But Virginia Tech's punter had a nasty first half, basically. Like, right? Like, even the first punt of the game, Georgia Tech ran like a misdirection kind of a fake punt return situation, and Eric Rivers had a long return, but like that was like a 65-yard kick before Rivers caught it, basically. And then the second punt of the day for Virginia Tech is down on the 1. The third was down on the 3, I believe. Like, I don't know. I don't know the guy's name. The Hokies punter just having a nasty day.
Nick Veltsistis.
The point is, I saw an opportunity, and I tweeted it out, Mike, that was like, man, if the Hokies were as good as everything that their punter's doing right now, they'd fill that empty trophy case in Blacksburg. Our guy, Ricky LeBlue, did not like that.
I was not a fan of that one.
Like I said, I really try not to be a dick, but sometimes just that once I just went for it.
Let's play a fun game because James Franklin's been fired since like 2:00 this afternoon, so we're going on like 10 hours now. James Franklin, the body's still warm. But if you had to guess, does James Franklin coach next year?
No.
Or does he sit on his buyout? Where are you at?
He's sitting on his buyout.
He is going to be on television 1,000%, right?
Like, start with the amount of money he's being paid,
dude.
But then it's James Franklin. Like, he arguably should have been on television the whole time, anyways. Like,
right. Agree.
Which is not an insult, like an insult against his coaching ability. He's just a charismatic, like, made for TV kind of guy.
Yeah.
He's absolutely going to be on Game Day or Big Nude or something.
Big Nude.
Couple years. Big, you know.
Yeah. It's after midnight on the East Coast.
Yeah, he's going to be on one of those. So I can definitely see him coaching again at some point. And like, his name gets brought up every time the USC job comes open. And I mean, there's other major jobs in the country that, Florida, if they come open, or LSU, or, take your pick, like whoever might move on from their coach. Like, yeah, his name will get brought up, but I don't know how much he wants to get back in the middle of it after he's dealt with as much as he's dealt with at Penn State the last few years, and people just trying to question him while he's winning 9 and 10 games every year without fail. So, yeah.
And I don't know what the offset language is in his contract buyout, but man, I would definitely sit out a year.
Completely agree. So you're on the same page then. Like, we're not going to see him coaching again for a couple of years.
I think so. I think the only school right now that I could see that's open or could potentially open where I could see James Franklin going and being like, I'm going to coach there right now, might be Florida. But I think Florida is pretty similar to the Penn State situation he was just in. So I'm not sure how enthusiastic he's going to be about. He would recruit there though.
Oh yeah. He did well enough at Vandy. I mean,
this isn't a situation. Can James Franklin coach? I think they got a quarterback issue there with Drew Aller. Well, not anymore. He's done for the year. But I think that was more the problem. They were in overtime, leading in overtime a couple weeks ago. I mean, give me a break.
They were one drive away from going to the national title game
last year, and 9 months
calendar year.
9 months ago. Yeah.
I just, wild that they are now, again, you've had a bad, like, 8 quarters and 2 drives basically, or something, like 8 quarters and 1 overtime period. And you've gone from potential national title contender to we're firing our coach and paying $50 million to do it. Like, are you kidding me?
No, I mean, Drew Aller cost him his job.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, both in the semifinal against Notre Dame and that horrible interception he threw in the loss to Oregon, and then how he looked the last 2 weeks. I mean, you picked the wrong quarterback. This is not a James Franklin can't coach thing. You picked the wrong quarterback, which I get is the extension of coaching. I get, but
Nuke Jacket doesn't help that Bo Pribula looks great at Missouri right now.
Yeah, I played well yesterday.
Yeah. So, anyways, we blew past an hour and 12, Mike.
Yep. Perfect.
Anything else on week 7? You want to come back and preview week 8?
Yeah, Friday night action this week.
We do. Friday night action. We got a couple of games. We got a Friday night doubleheader in the ACC in week 8.
We do.
And then we got a nice 6-pack on Saturday as well. As mentioned, several interesting games here. So keep it tuned here. We will get you ready for those later this week. Somewhere either, Wednesday or Thursday night, one or the other. We'll be live. YouTube.com/@the ACC Football Podcast. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon. You'll be notified when we're going to go live next. And come join us in the discussion as we get ready for week 8 in the ACC with a really nice, fascinating lineup coming your way. In the meantime, if you're going to find us on audio, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you find your podcasts, go find us there. Hit the subscribe button there. Find us on Twitter @FTRSJoey, @Mike McDaniel SI, together @BC Podcast ACC. Send us an email, basketballconferencepodcast@gmail.com.
Nailed it.
Thank you. And support our sponsors. We'd appreciate that. Steven and the Gang, Section 103. Go hit up Rhoback. Hit up Home Field Apparel. We'd appreciate that.
We would.
Anything else before we get out of here, Mike?
That is it.
Want to come back and preview week 8?
We'll see you later this week.
We'll see you then. All right. For that guy, Mr. Mike McDaniel, I'm Joey Weaver. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll talk to you again very, very soon. Until then, Georgia Tech's the real tech. Go Jackets and go ACC.